off my dress. Nice meeting you guys. It's a pleasure.
I'd like to have one of those souvenirs if you don't mind.
I'm almost out, so the Karens.
Appreciate it.
I sent it propaganda on the back.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
It's an honor. What's going on, brother? How you doing? All right.
MAGA.
Like that. I'll get a picture.
I'm with you.
All right.
All right. I'm going to screenshot this later on.
All right. Take care, guys.
It's an honor, bro.
I was trying to see what the sign said, but I can't get close enough. Seems to be kind of one-sided up there. Hey, how you doing?
We meet again, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I saw that on the web the other day.
Appreciate it. Well, we want to get your thoughts on day 3 of deliberations here.
I did not expect it to go this long. It's a little concerning. I also am a little concerned that the jury can hear all of this and that it may have a really chilling factor on the outcome.
What's your thoughts on the MSNBC reporter that got caught chasing the jury bus?
Well, you know, what I heard on the way back up here today was that he claimed he was with MSNBC. Has MSNBC acknowledged him yet?
That I don't know.
Yeah, that I don't know either. But I thought it was interesting that they got banned from the courthouse, so there must be some pretty good evidence of it. But I mean, tracking the jury, wanting to go take pictures, if there's ever any evidence or the definition of jury intimidation, that's it. But this is as well.
What do you think about the jury reviewing the drone footage that was presented in the high resolution, low resolution? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, I've been a trial lawyer my whole life, and the concept of the opposition hiding critical evidence from you until after evidence is just reprehensible. That everything that I've seen the prosecution do in this case, from commenting on the post-arrest silence of the defendant and then sneaking in evidence after the close of evidence, is just reprehensible. The judge, I thought, was very restrained. If anybody in any of the trials I've been in tried anything like that, the first time the judge would say, "You do that again, you're going to jail."
Can you speculate on how long this is taking? Did you think we'd have a verdict by now? And what do you think the timeline of this is?
You know, I thought we'd have a verdict in the first few hours of deliberation. I'm concerned, obviously, in what we do for a living, the longer the verdict takes, the better it is for the plaintiff. But, you know, the philosophy is in criminal cases, the worse it is for the defense. But you never know. Obviously, people saw what happened here last August. The jurors are hearing all this nonsense out here. They're going to be concerned about what's going to happen to the citizens of Kenosha, and they have the fate of one man in their hands, but the fate of the city as well. And they know that, and how that plays out in their minds, you can't predict, I can't predict. I wish they didn't have to have that choice.
What's your thoughts on the governor deploying 500 National Guardsmen? From what I understand, they're a little closer to Kenosha right now than they were yesterday. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that if he'd done that August 25th of last year, we wouldn't be here today.
Anybody else want to?
What do you think about the judge throwing out the weapons charge?
Well, you know, from what I understand, the weapons charge required the gun to be a short-barreled rifle, barrel less than 16 inches. A 5-year-old could have looked at that gun in the first photograph and seen that it was not a short-barreled rifle.
Yeah. What about you say about the defendant hanging over the judge?
The defendant hanging over the judge?
Yeah, the individual.
What do you mean?
Well, he was bending over the judge and they took a photo. What happened? Picking out evidence, that's nothing. Have you ever seen that happen before?
I've not seen it in this case. I must have missed that picture.
What's your thoughts on a lot of the media is painting this as a racial issue. This is about white supremacy when there hasn't really been any factual documentation to link white supremacy to Kyle Rittenhouse. But what's your thoughts on that? Because it seems like this is a racial trial.
The media has made it that. Obviously, all the people involved in this were Caucasians. The President of the United States, when running for president, called Kyle Rittenhouse a white supremacist with absolutely no evidence to support it. This is a media narrative-driven issue. It has nothing to do with what's actually going on in that trial. It's not a racial thing. It's a young man who came up here to help out his fellow citizens that got attacked by other white men. And there's no race involved in this at all. But without race involvement, you guys wouldn't be here. These people wouldn't be here. I'd still be here because it'd still be a Second Amendment issue.
Yeah. Sir, there's some people. There are reports that the jury is a little bit intimidated about the crowd outside. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Wouldn't you be? That's my thought about that. I mean, they can hear it in there. They have to, and I was saying to this gentleman, they've got to know that the fate of the one man they have directly in front of them is one thing, but the fate of the city is another, and they can't be ignorant of the fact that there are threats being made. And this is jury intimidation. It's intended to be jury intimidation, and it strikes at the very basis of Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-American jurisprudence going back to the 13th century. And to have this kind of intimidation going on is just reprehensible to me.
Why do you think a guilty verdict would bring violence, or would bring non-violence, but a non-guilty verdict would bring violence? Why is that the case?
I've never seen a civil riot of people come. I don't think I'm going to be a very effective rioter, let me say it that way. I'm not threatening anybody, I'm not screaming, I don't hear any. It seems to be very one-sided up there, and so I would not anticipate that a guilty verdict would inspire who? I don't see any rabid pro Kyle Rittenhouse rioters who are waiting to torch things. It just doesn't happen.
But an innocent verdict would bring violence throughout the city, and
why is that?
And possibly throughout the nation.
And
right?
why would that be?
The reason being is because they know a lot of black people get into the emotions, and a lot of black people will go out and burn stuff because they feel that they don't have a voice.
What does this have to do with black and white?
It has absolutely nothing to do with it, but for some reason we have the media that will bring that into it.
If the media, if all you folks would report the real story instead of making it a black versus white media event, the city of Kenosha wouldn't have to worry about this. The city of St. Louis wouldn't have to worry about this. If the facts of this case were actually accurately portrayed by the media, this would not be here.
So what about
sorry about hitting your microphone.
What about Biden saying that Kyle Rittenhouse is a white supremacist, because he interjected that as well.
President Biden, Kamala Harris, Maxine Waters, in connection with the Derek Chauvin case, we're all fanning the flames. They're all, Maxine Waters is saying that the jury isn't what we want. If the verdict doesn't come out the way we want, we have to be even more confrontational, inciting riot. It is, they believe that the mob rule will intimidate people. And I've said this before, the mob is being used like the brown shirts as an intimidation arm of the left.
So one last question. What do you say about Antifa and BLM being known as the foot soldiers for the Democrat Party?
I think I just said that. I think it's, I believe that. Anyway, I'm gonna do my walkabout. Thank you very much, guys.
That's him. What brought you out here today? What made you want to come out for this?
Well, you know, I'm a big advocate for the right of self-defense, for the Second Amendment, for the right of the people to take their fate in their own hands, and I'm a big opponent of the government allowing cities to burn, the government abdicating their duty to protect people and arrange for domestic tranquility. What happened here last year only happened because the government failed to protect people against the mob. When the government abdicates its duty to protect people against the mob, then the people have to defend themselves and take their own defense into their own hands. And that's one of the primary reasons I'm here. This country is dissolving into lawlessness. We live in an environment of violence, a disregard for the rule of law, a disregard for respect for civilization. And that's why I'm here, is to support law and order, to support the concept that everybody in this country used to live with, that we all pull together in the same direction, that we're one people, we're one race, the human race, and we're all pulling together to make tomorrow better than today. This kind of nonsense that's going on here is not about unity. It's not about making the future better. It's about division and frightening people and intimidating jurors.
What about Philando Castile? Did he have a right to bear arms? What about Philando Castile? What about Philando Castile? What about Philando Castile? What about Philando Castile? What about Philando? Nothing about Philando, huh? What about Philando Castile? Did he have a right to bear arms? What about Philando Castile? Oh yeah, he just want a selfie. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he just want a selfie.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Patricia, Mark, you guys are getting a lot of attention out here. What brings you here?
Well, I came out here to support Kyle Rittenhouse, support the right of people to defend themselves. themselves against mob violence and to support law and order.
Is this case similar to yours?
It is in that the city of St. Louis ordered our police to stand down and made us face off the mob ourselves instead of being protected by the government that should take that responsibility. Similarly here, last August 25th, the government abdicated its duty to defend the people of Kenosha against mob rule. And that's one of the things that I'm here to support.
Isn't there a difference between you guys defending your home and Rittenhouse coming here and he doesn't even live in town?
Well,
His father lives here.
yeah,
That's enough?
well,
Father
he came
lives here.
here.
He lives here. He's a youth.
Came here to help out the people of Kenosha, to protect their businesses, to clean their neighborhood up, to render medical aid as necessary. He came here to defend a city that would not defend itself, and I think that's admirable, and that's why we're here to support it.
Sir, can you, for us, so far you guys here, you traveled from Missouri, right?
Yeah, and I'm here, well, just watch their news feed. No, I'm joking. But we're here to support Kyle Rittenhouse, to defend the concept of your right to self-defense, to support the Second Amendment, and to support law and order, and in opposition to cities that abdicated their duty to defend the citizens against mob rule. It happened to us in St. Louis last year, it happened to the city of Kenosha last August, and it's because the government refuses to do its job to prevent mob violence.
How do you compare what happened
When it comes to defending one's property, when it comes to Second Amendment rights, they are here in front of the courthouse.
That the government abdicated its duty. The government refusing to protect honest citizens against mob violence. We were left entirely alone. When we called 911, when the mob broke through our gate, the police showed up, 3 hours later. When a mob of 500 is confronting you and threatening to kill you, waiting on the police for 3 hours isn't going to help you. That's why you have to defend yourself when the government refuses to defend you.
What was the outcome of your case?
We eventually pled guilty to a couple of Class C misdemeanors. Governor Parson of Missouri pardoned us, and our criminal matters all behind us.
What's your full name?
My name is Mark McCloskeys. Anyway.
Mr. McCloskeys, Cassandra Governor CBS. Can you tell me precisely what you will get out of from being in Kenosha?
Cold ears right now. No, I'll be serious. We're not here for anything other than to show support for Kyle Rittenhouse. We're here to show support for the Second Amendment, for the right of civilization to continue without the fear of mob rule. I've not talked to them. I've not talked to Kyle or any of his family members. We're here just as ordinary citizens to support the rule of law. I hope not. And by the way, I don't like the reference, but I certainly hope not.
Justice will not turn.
Well, I think what the world needs right now is more people that aren't afraid to stand up for their rights, more people that aren't afraid to stand up for what used to be the normal in America, and that is law and order. That's where real justice occurs. And of course, there's been certain things that have happened in the course of this trial, which I think are inappropriate on the part of the prosecution, and that may weigh on the ultimate result. So whatever the jury rules, that's our system of government. This is such a unique country where we have a right, no matter what the dispute is, if it's a civil matter like we tried or a criminal matter, you ask 12 ordinary citizens to decide the outcome based on what they hear in the court and the law as explained to them by the judge, and they go back into the room and they make the decision. And this is really a unique thing, and we should all honor it and be proud that we live in a country where our fellow citizens decide our fate, not some overreaching government. Well, it tells me they're giving it a good thing. But I got to also tell you that this has got to be very intimidating to them. To hear this anger out here, to hear the threats, to hear, Kenosha don't get it, we'll shut it down. if you're a juror and you've got to consider the fate of one young man, Kyle Rittenhouse, versus the fate of the city, depending on what you rule and depending on the threats you're hearing from inside the jury room, that's a burden on those jurors that they should not have to endure. And they should be able to decide this case based on the evidence in this case and the laws explained to them by the judge without having to think about secondary considerations like riots and bloodshed, or like Hawk Newsom said the other day to Eric Adams, if you go back to the old style of policing, there'll be riots, there'll be fire, and there'll be blood. These jurors should not have to consider that in making a decision in this case. I'm sorry? Everybody's got a right to say what they want, but they need to do it under circumstances where it doesn't amount to jury intimidation. No, thank you. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Thank you again. Much love to you, man. Thank you, man. Hey, thank you. Thank you. Love you guys. Thank you, man. God bless. I could stand back here and actually read the signs.
What are we saying now?
I can't hear it.
Where's Mike?
Yeah, where is Mike? If you guys had part a little bit, one of the things I wanted to see was what the signs are saying today.
You wore an intelligent hat.
How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yes.
It's hard to imagine how you can sustain that level of anger and noise for so long.
What do you think of the demonstrations out here?
Well, you know, so far, I wasn't here when, I guess, a fist fight broke out, but I've been here since Sunday, and other than being loud, and I had one lady screaming profanity at me for a while the other day, it's been, you know, if it weren't in front of the courthouse where the jury can hear it, I'd say it'd be fine. It's been peaceful. They've been fairly calm. They've been loud. I am concerned about the fact that the jury can probably hear it and feel the threat.
They moved them to another building, I heard.
Oh, the jury?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Late, but
Yeah. So if that's the case, I wholeheartedly applaud that. I wish that had happened from the get-go.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Can I get a photo of you holding the souvenir?
All right, that's good.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You guys pulling more guns on Black Lives Matter lately?
Not lately.
Black Lives Matter from yesterday.
Yeah, I think he might have gone through. You don't even know when he got hit.
Tend to stay until there's a verdict reached?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We love the cold.
Are you both from Missouri?
No, I am. She's from Pennsylvania.
Not this cold though.
Yeah.
Have you guys got to try anything in Wisconsin?
You know, we were talking about that. I think that I probably had one case in Wisconsin. I've tried cases in virtually every state in the country.
Yeah.
But we're trying to think. I know I had a skiing injury case out of Wisconsin many years ago. We've been trying to remember whether or not I had to try that. But I know I've had cases here before. Not in this courthouse, though. Not in Kenosha. In Madison.